All right, let's get into it. Today we're talking about something truly special, Surah Al-Ikhlas. It's one of the shortest chapters in the Quran, just 4 verses. But don't let that fool you. What's packed inside is so powerful, it's basically considered the heart of the entire faith.
So let's just start with probably the most mind-blowing thing ever said about this chapter. This comes straight from the Prophet Muhammad himself. He actually swore an oath saying, and get this, that this tiny surah is equal to a third of the entire Quran. A third! I mean, just let that sink in for a second.
And right away, you're probably asking the same thing I did. How? How is that even possible? The Quran has thousands upon thousands of verses. It's got laws, incredible stories, prophecies, the whole shebang. So how on earth can these 4 little lines equal a third of all of that? Well, the answer is just fascinating. It has everything to do with why it was revealed and the incredibly precise way it defines God. So let's really get into it.
Okay, so to really grasp why this chapter is so important, we got to go back in time. Let's picture 7th century Arabia. See, this surah didn't just appear out of nowhere. It came down as a direct, powerful answer to some really big questions that were being asked.
We're talking about the early days in Mecca. This was a tough time for the Prophet and the first Muslims. He was trying to bring this revolutionary message, the idea of one single God, to a society that was, completely built around worshiping many different idols and gods.
And here's where it gets super interesting. People started coming up to the Prophet with questions. And it wasn't just the local idol worshippers. It was also people from other faiths. They were all trying to fit this new concept of God into the boxes they already understood. They'd ask things like, so describe your God to us. What's his family tree? Is he made of gold or maybe silver? They were thinking in very human, physical terms, because that's all they knew.
Now, the Prophet's response wasn't some long philosophical debate. He didn't come up with his own explanation. Instead, he received this revelation, Surah Al-Ikhlas. This was God himself speaking. It was like a divine introduction, just cutting straight through all the noise and confusion and saying, let me tell you who I am, on my own terms.
All right, so let's actually look at the verses. Let's break down this perfect 4-part definition of God. This is the heart of what's known as Tawheed, the absolute oneness of God, which is literally the foundation of everything in Islam.
Okay, verse 1. Say, He is Allah the One. Simple enough, right? But the magic is in the Arabic word used for one. It's not the usual word, wahid. It's a very specific, very powerful word, ahad. And this small difference, well, it changes everything.
Here's why that's so brilliant. The word wahid means one, like in a sequence, 1, 2, 3. It implies that there could be a second or a third. But ahad, that means one as in absolutely unique, one of a kind, indivisible. There's nothing else like it. It completely shuts down any idea of partners or a trinity or anything else. It's not number 1 in a list. It's the one, period.
Then we get to verse 2, which introduces this incredible name, As-Samad. This is a tough one to translate perfectly, but think of it like this. He is the ultimate eternal refuge. He's totally self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything from anyone, no food, no rest, nothing. But, and this is the key part, everything else in the entire universe, from you and me to the farthest star, absolutely needs him for every single moment of existence.
Verse 3 then gets even more specific, wiping away all those human-like ideas we have about God. He begets not, nor was he begotten. Remember those questions about his family and lineage? Well, here's the direct answer. He doesn't have parents, he doesn't have children. He's completely beyond that cycle of birth and biology. He's timeless.
And finally, the 4th verse just ties it all together with a knockout punch, and there is none comparable to him. That's it. It's the ultimate statement of uniqueness. After everything we've just heard, he's the unique one, the self-sufficient, the timeless. This just seals the deal. Nothing you can ever imagine, nothing in this entire creation is even remotely like him. He is in a category all by himself.
Okay, so that's some pretty deep theology, right? But what does it mean for us in our day-to-day lives? How do we take this powerful definition and actually use it? Well, it turns out this surah is also meant to be a kind of spiritual shield, something we can use for protection and to find real peace. The Prophet himself gave us a beautiful, practical routine to do every night before sleeping. It's really simple. You just cup your hands together, recite this surah along with the next 2, gently blow into your palms, and then wipe over your head, your face, and whatever you can reach of your body. He'd do this 3 times. It's like wrapping yourself in spiritual protection for the night.
And this practice actually gives us a kind of blueprint for the whole day. Reciting these surahs 3 times in the morning and evening becomes your daily spiritual armor. Saying it once after every prayer is like a quick reboot, reminding you of that core concept of God's oneness. And then, of course, 3 times at night for that protection while you sleep.
But it's not just about reciting it. It's about letting the meaning sink in. Think about it. When you're facing a huge problem and you feel helpless, remember as-Samad, the one everyone turns to. It shifts your focus from the limited resources you have to the unlimited source of all help. Or, when you're feeling anxious, remembering the one who is constant and eternal can bring this incredible sense of calm. Even when things are going great and people are praising you, recalling that none is comparable to him keeps your ego in check and turns pride into gratitude.
So we've talked about what it does for us here and now, but the rewards, they go way beyond this life. Reciting and loving the surah is directly linked to some of the biggest rewards you can imagine, like earning God's love and even paradise.
There's this amazing story about one of the Prophet's companions. Whenever he led the prayer, he would always finish by reciting Surah Al-Ikhlas. People got curious and asked him why, and his answer was just so simple and beautiful. He said, "Because it's the description of my Lord, and I just love reciting it. That's it." And when word of this got back to the Prophet, you know what he said? He said, "Go tell that man that Allah loves him." Just wow, his love for the description of God actually earned him the love of God himself.
And the promises get even more direct. In one instance, the Prophet heard someone reciting it, and he just said, flat out, paradise is now obligatory for him. Just like that. In another hadith, he said that if you recite it just 10 times, God will build a palace for you in paradise. I mean, the scale of the reward for these 4 short verses is just, it's incredible. So this all brings us right back to that first big question. How can this be worth 1/3 of the entire Quran? Well, scholars explain that the Quran basically covers 3 main things: God's oneness, or our core beliefs, then you have rules and laws, and finally all the stories of the past. Surah Al-Ikhlas, it perfectly, purely, and completely nails that first part, the most important part. It is the pure essence of our belief in the one God, which is the bedrock for everything else. And that's why its name, Al-Ikhlas, means the purity or the sincerity. It's not just a description, it's a tool. It's meant to purify our own hearts and minds of any wrong ideas about God. So maybe the best way to end is with a question for all of us to reflect on. As we recite the purity, what's one thing in our own understanding, one little attachment or misconception that we can ask God to help us purify so we can get just a little bit closer to Him?